Welcome to OpenLegacy. In this video, we demonstrate how to integrate a legacy mainframe backend into the Anthos framework using the OpenLegacy platform. Many other legacy assets are also supported. Once a service is created, it can immediately run in Anthos, track cluster traffic and the health of applications, and provide monitoring, logging, and observability. We begin by creating a service in OpenLegacy. First, we create the SDK, which is the component that connects to our Mainframe CICS backend. We name it Mainframe CICS SDK. After we enter our connection credentials and click Finish, the system builds the SDK project. We then generate the model from the COBOL source, a Java entity. In our demonstration, we will use a sample COBOL copybook called Item Details. This is what it looks like on the mainframe. Next, we create the API or service that will run in Anthos. Using the API project wizard, we create the API project, Mainframe CICS API. We define the SDK we just created as the reference project. When the API project has finished building, we generate the API from the SDK. We define the inputs and the outputs and name the service Item Details. Opening the Anthos folder in the API project tree, we see 5 YAML configuration files. The deployment YAML file defines the deployment configuration for the OpenLegacy project. In our demonstration, it allows 2 replicas of the Mainframe CICS MS application and provides the container name, image, and port. The gateway service file defines the Istio name and the gateway port details, OL gateway service. The namespace file provides the name of the namespace and the label used for Istio injection. You can use an existing namespace. The service YAML file provides the configuration of the Kubernetes service for the OpenLegacy project. The virtual service file configures the virtual application instantiations running in Anthos. We now Dockerize the project to create the project image we will push to the Docker Hub, and from there, the OpenLegacy generated script will pull the image into Anthos. These are the 5 configuration files we created in OpenLegacy and will use to configure the service in Anthos. We must first define a namespace for our project. You can use an already existing namespace or create a new one. In this demo, we are creating a new namespace called OL Mainframe CICS NS using the OL namespace YAML configuration file. Next, we create the service in Kubernetes for the OpenLegacy project. The configuration file, OL service YAML, names the service in Anthos and defines the ports to be used by the service. We can see that it worked by validating the service using the get service command. We now create the deployment configuration for the OpenLegacy project using the oldeployment.yaml configuration file. Running the apply command deploys the OL Mainframe CICS MS service we created in the previous step. Repeating the getPods command, we can see the details of the 2 running instances created, including their age, status, and number of restarts. Next, we create the gateway service, already configured with the port and host details from the olgatewayservice.yaml configuration file. Using the getGateways command, we see the OL gateway service and its age. Now we can create the virtual service using the olvirtualservice.yaml file. The getVirtualServices command shows us that the service has been created and the gateway details. This diagram shows a graphical topology of the OL Mainframe CICS MS service, showing the layout of the service, its 2 components and connections, running natively within Anthos. We run the service under load to generate the logs used for observability and monitoring, running nearly 1,600 transactions. We move over to the Anthos monitoring page, and in the service mesh, we find our service. We can see the service topology. Clicking the service name, the details page opens, and we can now see metrics and other details such as requests per second, latency, and CPU utilization. We can drill down to see the details of the individual metrics. We can also see the traffic logs for the service and security alerts. Moving to the Anthos monitoring page, we select the cluster and the OL application to see the traffic logs for the service. Using the resource details to identify our app and filtering by time, we can see the traffic logs. Each entry is expandable, so details can be displayed. We can access the application logs similarly through the logging facility in Anthos, simply by selecting different resources. OpenLegacy plugs fully into the Anthos ecosystem, including the logging system for observability. As you can see, the logs show all the way to the mainframe COM area or data buffer. Let's trace a transaction through our service as a good example of observability. We can see the details of the request in the buffer with a timestamp, and the response details as well. And finally, the traffic log, showing the transaction duration of 57 milliseconds.